What is up, film fans? Welcome back to Friday Night Filmdom, your one-stop shop for movie and pop culture news, views, and rants. This is our spoiler review for episode 4 of the Disney Plus series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, if the title didn't tell it for you, this is going to be an open spoiler discussion. We're going to go to all the juicy details throughout the whole episode, so if you haven't had a chance to watch it, please just hit the pause button, come back and watch it in just a few minutes, okay? Now, joining me, as always, your ultimate, we're going to say Bucky fangirl after this episode, Jenna Johnson. Jenna, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, Rob. How are you?
I'm good, but I'm a little shook after that episode.
Oh, I am not okay.
I don't think anybody...
Not okay.
Before we really even get into it, I think that this episode may change the MCU as a whole. I think this episode may be that important. I think there's going to be ramifications from here on out.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And it was, it was kind of unexpected to see this in the MCU that we know. But no, it's taking a very dark turn.
Mm-hmm. But I also think that's why it's so effective when the MCU takes these darker tones, because we're so used to the lighter tones, but they do occasionally throw in the darker kind of tones and stuff, and I think that's why they hit so much harder when they do, is because most of the time it's just about entertaining us. It don't get as deep as some of this, but this...
Oh, it's very deep. Very deep.
I don't know if you could get much deeper than this episode kind of got, but...
No, I don't see how it could. No, it can't.
All right, so the episode opens, and we kind of get a flashback of Bucky in Wakanda, getting the programming out of him. And I'll just be honest, the acting Sebastian Stan did in this episode, just to see the heartbreak in his face and the joy and like all those emotions just coming at once, it was so like masterfully done, and just applause to Sebastian Stan just for the pure emotion in this.
Yes, all the Emmys to Sebastian, all the Emmys. I've followed him for quite a while now, since really since I first saw what was it? Once Upon a Time, when he played Jefferson. And just his acting for that one particular role, and through the Captain America series and just the MCU in general, and like even going back to his other roles, he is a phenomenal actor, absolutely amazing, and just what he expresses just through his face alone is magnificent. And I'm like, give this kid all the awards.
Because I do think it was nice that they gave us kind of a little bit of context as to how exactly all that happened to get everything erased. Because like we knew it happened, but you never actually got to see it till this point. And I just think that reinforces the bond between Bucky and Wakanda even more.
Yeah, I cried. I did. It was magical at first. I was like, it's not gonna work. And then when Io said, "You're free," and the water works, I was just like, my baby's finally free.
But I thought that was a great way to start the episode, because where we ended the one before with Ao showing up, it's like, I mean, we know the characters have some history, but it gave it a little more depth to the history these two have. And I also think that connection's why she gave him the time with Zemo that she did, like telling him he only has the 8 hours and then they're coming for him. I feel like if they wouldn't have had that connection, she'd just be like, move or get moved.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, that would be a direct throwback to Civil War when she said that to Natasha. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's exactly what would have happened, but because of their connection, she's like, well, he's a means to your end, so we'll allow you to have just the slightest bit of time. So throughout the rest of the episode, there's always like a little bit of nervousness of when's the Normalize gonna show up? Like you're just waiting for it at every turn, every second. until it finally does. But
And it was glorious. Glorious.
so after that conversation, Bucky arrives back at I'm not sure if it's an apartment or if we just want to call it the hideout, but wherever him and Sam and Zemo are all kind of, hiding out, trying to figure out everything. So they start having a conversation about this bombing that Carly did and the Flag Smashers, and how Zemo's basically telling them the super soldier serum only makes you worse. Right. Like, because I think, kind of seeing it now, I think it just enhances the either good parts or bad parts of, like, your personality. And that's why Zemo says, like, touche, when Bucky's like, there basically only was one Steve.
Right. It's absolutely correct. And that's direct to a callback from Captain America, the First Avenger. Erskine is talking to Steve the night before the procedure, and he says, the serum amplifies what's already there. Good becomes great, bad becomes worse. And, I've said it since the beginning of the show. It's not, Sam is that good person, and despite the fact of, like, not even having serum, Sam is the person who is the best one to carry that mantle of Captain America.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was obvious that's why they picked him in, Captain America, the First Avenger, because just how wholesome Steve was. Because honestly, if Steve would have had a different build to begin with, he could have been like, basically like John was. I mean, he could have won lots of medals of honor, and because he would have put his life on the line to save anybody, even before he had the serum. So I love when Zemo starts comparing, like, people with the super soldier serum, that they'll always cause trouble, and it's like Nazis to Ultron to the Avengers, like, all these enhanced humans are always gonna be problems. Yeah. So I
can see it. I mean, we've seen it throughout this entire series. Enhanced do cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't for those enhanced, we wouldn't need the superheroes to fight them. So it's kind of a catch-22.
But see, then I harken back a little bit too, to, like, something there's a lot in, like, the Batman mythos, like, is the invention of these heroes just bringing on more villains. Like,
that is also true.
Because it seems another thing from a Batman movie that's, like, starting to come back more and more to play. Either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yes.
So that's another thing that's definitely keeps popping up. I'll give it to Zemo in this, though. I feel like Zemo's even smarter than we ever gave him credit for. Because he's, like, talking about there's never going to be another Steve Rogers. There was only one. It seems like he really understands. Even though as much as he hates everybody with the super soldier serum, it seems once he got to know a little more about Steve, he don't technically hate Steve.
Right.
And he seems to be okay with Bucky, too, from what I'm gathering. Like, it don't seem like Bucky's one of the ones he wants to knock off. So,
yeah, for now at least. But he was instructed to, like, end the super soldiers. Mm-hmm. So where in time was that going to come up for, Steve and Bucky?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. But it just seems like Bucky's the least of Zemo's worries now. Like, it's more about Carly and the Flag Smashers and, others that may or may not get the serum. So we'll see. And then I noticed he offers Sam and Bucky these damn Turkish Delight candies. And these things keep coming back up. Like, what do you think the deal is with these candies?
I don't know. He's pulling a White Witch here from Chronicles of Narnia. No, like, they lost me at Turkish Delight to begin with. I can't stand it. So I was just like, oh man, why do they have to go there? But I can see how he would use that to gain the trust of the people, like, where they are in Latvia, right? Mm-hmm. Where they are in Latvia, give a kid candy, especially a kid who doesn't get it that often, they're gonna like spill secrets. And go ahead.
But I'll say, like, it's so weird because it's not just the Turkish delight he's offering them. It's like the tea later in the episode. Like, it makes me wonder if he's not put something in some of that to try to maybe get away. The ones he was offering to, like, Sam and Bucky. It just, I know it's off the wall, but
It's possible, but of all the characters in this series right now, Zemo is probably one of the most humane. And he was rich. He had manners. He like growing up. He was, you're told to always offer your guests beverages or like treats.
mm-hmm.
And I can see that kind of being something that he wants to help Sam and Bucky at this point. And so, even if you're frenemies, being nice to them is probably going to get you farther than trying to give them hell at each turn.
Right, right. I love the idea of frenemies. I love how you worded that because I feel like that's exactly what they are at the moment.
Exactly.
I think they all kind of need each other at the moment, but I think we're going to get to a point they don't need each other anymore, and they're going to go straight back to enemies, and it's going to be exciting for sure.
I can see it. I can
Uh,
see it.
so after that little talk, we cut to another scene where the Flag Smashers are kind of listening to the news reports. They're talking about the bombings and how the worldwide reach of this organization, and there's like more people opposing it, and there's more people getting behind it. So they're definitely making some waves and getting people behind their cause, against their cause. It's very obvious they're getting noticed by pretty much everybody.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they definitely are. Granted, the bombing of that building where it killed 3 and injured 11. Yeah, I wrote that one down. That is something. It is going to gather a lot of attention because half the world's going to see you as a terrorist threat. The other half are going to see you as like a champion, kind of like Robin Hood, champion for the smaller people. And everything that I've experienced so far with this GRC that they have in this show, they're just a crock of shit. I'm sorry. They are.
They
It's
are.
horrible. And it's like I don't know who to trust anymore right now. I'm like I'm going to trust who I'm familiar with. Because here we are. It's 5 years after the blip. We have no idea what's gone on in between there. So, maybe this whole little band of rebels that we have is going to be the savior of the world for like post blip.
They may be, but I feel like even our characters are starting to wonder which side's the right side to be on. I mean, it's very obvious that Sam's questioning it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sam is definitely questioning it, and Sam was the perfect person to talk to Carly.
Mm-hmm.
That is without a doubt. He was able to get her to open up a little bit more. He wasn't demanding. He was just simply questioning.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely. Well, because we'll just skip right through this next little bit. So Zemo talks to this little girl. He learns that there's going to be a funeral coming up. That's where they're going to find Carly. So that's where we kind of get in to what you were talking about. They kind of meet up with Carly there. They said Sam's like, I'm going in by myself. So Sam kind of goes. He's talking to Carly. And you very much get Counselor Sam. You're not getting Avenger Falcon. You're getting Counselor Sam. Like he's trying to get in, trying to figure out why you're doing what you're doing. Like he's trying to like reiterate to her that like I believe in your cause, just not the way you're doing it.
Right. Exactly. And although he is an Avenger, he was a counselor first.
Mm-hmm.
And so for him to kind of recall on his training there to try to help this individual and help understand her better, that makes him probably one of the strongest Avengers.
Oh yeah,
Because
absolutely.
he has that empathy for her.
Absolutely. Because like I love how he's even trying to get on her side, and it's at some point like, I think Sam's going, am I on the right side? Like, you could see it in his I mean, I know he says it, but you can also see it, like, in his reactions in his face, like, no, your cause is right. It's just the way you're going about it that's wrong.
He's absolutely correct on that.
Because I mean, I'll admit, I don't think Carly's necessarily wrong. Other than the murdering and threatening and all of that,
Oh yeah,
because, like,
that is, like you said, you're doing this the wrong way, but your cause is a good one.
because I think, like, with Carly, her problem is she's not learned the boundaries of what she needs to do. Because I feel like when she called Sarah to try to get Sam to meet with her again and threaten Sarah and the kids, that's another line she never should have crossed.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely should not have crossed that one.
And that leads me to why I was saying that she got counselor Sam in that one, but once she crossed the line when they meet again later in the episode, that's when the Falcon shows up, because he's like, oh hell no, you're not messing with my family. Like, I was nice before, but now I mean business.
Oh yeah, I was the same way. I was like, oh hell no, she's done crossed the line.
She definitely did, and like I said, I think that's her whole problem, is she don't know when to not cross these lines. Like,
Right.
I feel like in the first meeting, if John and them wouldn't have been around, I think Sam could have talked her out of it, to be perfectly honest. I think he would have basically talked her down off the ledge.
Yeah, here you are. I mean, Sam was really getting through to her, and you could tell that. And then you've got this ready to go youngling, ultimately, who thinks it's my way or the highway just because I have some fancy title, and that's not the way to go about it. It's absolutely not. And by the way, who gave him jurisdiction to do this in Latvia? He's Captain America.
Well, it's very obvious he has no regard for what
exactly.
Like, I think at this point with him, it's becoming more of a power trip, that he just feels like he has something to prove.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then it's not even as much like jurisdiction, because throughout the episode, I feel, well, actually throughout the last couple of episodes, I feel like was it Hoskins, his buddy? Yeah. What's his code name? I can't remember now. Battlestar. Yeah, I feel like
it's just as annoying as John Walker. So
yes and no, because I feel like that's like his one true friend that can always kind of talk him down a little bit.
No, I have no problem with Hoskins. It's just his name that I it's the whole thing of Battlestar. I'm like, well, that's not pretentious, not in the least.
Now, see, I'm wondering, is that a name he came up with, or is that like a designation from the military, or?
At this point, I'm not sure of anything in this show. No.
Because, like, my thought was, I'm like, it's probably like a call sign, like if you think like Top Gun, like Goose and Maverick or something. Like, that's what I'm assuming. That's what I'm assuming it is. I don't really know, but that's kind of my theory on that one. But when Sam was talking to Carly, it just seems we're going to bounce all over the place tonight. I like the fact that while she was grieving at the funeral, Sam kind of hung back and didn't confront her in front of the whole crowd. I felt like that was real respectful on Sam's part, and probably helped her trust him even a little more when he finally did show up, because we know she saw him like up in the window above, and I felt like that was Sam just waiting his turn. But,
and just to kind of to let her know that he was there, but not to like truly introduce himself like in the middle of her eulogy. He was showing respect for that, because he's been there.
See, that was good, because like Sam in this scene shows patience, but John, on the other hand, our Dollar General Captain America, this asshole can't even wait 10 minutes. Okay.
I have no tolerance for him anymore. I'm just like, no, you're done. You're out. You got to go. I'm done. I'm done with you.
Well, I would say that, but once again, there's another point in this episode after that scene where he busts in and they chase the Flag Smashers, and Bucky's running after Carly, and she drops all the serum when Zemo shows up, and Zemo stops all the one except for the one John got. Which I knew that was going to be bad as soon as that happened. I thought he was going to take it right at that moment.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, there was no question about it. I knew he was going to take it. There was absolutely no doubt in my mind that he was going to take that serum. But I wish he wouldn't have. But there you go again with the whole power hungry, and he, John just seems fishy to me, and not just from like what we've seen so far in the show. Back when Hoskins and Walker, I'm gonna call him Not Steve. Back when Not Steve and Hoskins were talking about Afghanistan, it just, I'm just like, there was something fishy even then. It's like, yeah, I had these 3 medals of honor from then, but at what cost? Yes, at what cost? What happened to begin with to have caused that issue to begin with? I don't know. He's just super sketch.
Now, I did like when Not Steve and Hoskins were having the conversation about whether or not they would take the serum. Because I know Battlestar's like, oh, hell yeah, I'd take it. And you could see the wheels already turning at that point in John's head. But in the opposite point of that conversation, just to prove how different Sam is, when Zemo asked Sam if he would have taken it, Sam's immediately, no. Like, there's no way I would have taken it. And I think that's because Sam's smart enough to know what it can do to people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because, I mean, once again, we're lucky that we got Steve the first time. So,
exactly. And there again, the good becomes great, the bad becomes worse. We've seen it in we've seen the polar opposites in Steve and with, what's his face? Schmidt, Red Skull. We see the direct opposite of that, and then now we're getting ready to see a parallel with the dueling Captain Americas. You're going to have Sam and his character versus John and his character.
Yep. Now, once all this is over, once again, they're back at the apartment. Like I said, when Zemo's asking Sam if he would take it or not. And, of course, here comes, not Steve, having to come in, yelling at everybody about what happened.
Yep.
But then right when we're getting ready to see probably a little bit of a showdown, probably between Bucky and not Steve, all of a sudden this spear comes flying through, and we get probably one of the best fight scenes I've seen in the series so far.
Yes.
Because, let's face it, don't mess with the Dormelage.
No, they are amazing, and I would... that's who I aspire to be now. I want to be a Dora.
Because, I think this is one of the best portrayal of, strong female characters that you could get.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not enhanced in any way. Well, I don't think they are. They may be some, Wakandan herb type thing going on. But I think overall they are just very hardworking and specially trained for the most part.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think they're enhanced, not even by the herb. No, I think it's just dedication and time and patience it takes to become an ultimate Wakandan warrior.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think, because I know when they're fighting with Bucky, they reach up and kind of touch his shoulder and make the arm come off. Do you think that Wakanda put that in as like a failsafe just in case Bucky ever turned on him?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that was something that they put in. Like you said, it's a failsafe should the soldier come back to kind of disarm him, because ultimately, although he's a super soldier, that arm pretty much does most of the work. Mm-hmm. So to have that kind of literal detachment there, it was definitely something Wakanda had planned out. Do I agree with them? I do. I do agree that something like that should have been implemented, but I think they should have told Bucky about it. That is
Right.
my biggest issue. You have given this arm to someone. You have shown that you are going to trust this person. You should have trusted him to tell him, hey, should the soldier ever make a reappearance, we're going to literally take your arm off. But, I was very, very, very angry at that point. I was like, what? No, no. Yeah, it was. This episode was very emotional in a lot of reasons. So
I thought it was really cool because I love when Sam looks at Bucky after the end of that fight. He's like, "Did you know it did that?" And he's like, "No,
yeah.
nope."
Oh yeah,
Now,
and you could tell Bucky was pissed. Bucky was pissed.
now, of course, we all enjoyed watching Not Steve get his ass handed to him
Yeah.
in this, which I think leads to a little something later. But in the midst of all this chaos, Zemo goes running and hides in the bathroom.
Can you blame it? No, he didn't. Like, hiding is one thing. He escaped, and I'm like, that. All right, you
Listen,
you got
I
to do what
really
you got to
thought they were
do.
gonna like open the door. He's gonna be like in the fetal position in the tub or something, and then next thing you know, he's like escaped down the
Yeah.
drain, and I mean gone.
Oh
Like,
yeah, but can you blame him? At one hand, you've got not Steve and Battlestar trying to arrest you and take you back to prison, and then you have the Dora Milaje who were there to seek retribution on the death of King T'Chaka. So yeah, I mean, I would run too in that case. Yeah, I may have like two frenemies being like, okay, no, we need this person, but you got like 10 other people who want you dead.
I don't know if you get the same impression I do from this, but I feel like Zemo's been playing chess this whole time, and everybody else has been playing checkers. I feel like Zemo's 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody at all
Oh,
times.
absolutely. I mean, just think about what happened in Civil War. He did the same thing, of the framing of Bucky for the UN bombing and, just playing it out to awaken the soldier when Bucky's in prison, when he's finally caught, up to, going to Siberia before Steve and Bucky to, kill the other super soldiers that Hydra had. So, yeah, no, he definitely is a very good strategist.
Now, since Zemo has escaped, do you think we'll see Zemo in the final 2 episodes, or do you think that's a plot thread they'll hold for something else?
I think we'll see him again. I don't think we're done with Zemo and the whole camaraderie ship he currently has with Bucky and Sam. I think he's going to maybe pop up 1 or 2 more times, but no, I don't think we're gonna say goodbye to him just yet.
Okay, I'm gonna go with my big time theory here on this one. I think we won't see Zemo till the final episode. It'll be
Okay.
during a big showdown between Sam, Bucky, and Not Steve. And I
I can see
think
that.
Zemo's gonna show up and kill Not Steve by the end of this season.
I don't know if not Steve is gonna like go that easy or go down that easily. I think we will end up seeing not Steve as U.S. agent somewhere else in the MCU. Um, you know, a few things kind of make me feel that. But I don't think we're gonna see the complete and total end of John Walker by the end of this series.
Now, what I think will happen, I think because of the events of the end of this episode, I think the U.S. government is going to strip him of the title of Captain America, like at the beginning of this next
Yeah,
episode. He'll become
they
U.S.
need to.
agent at that point.
Ooh, ooh,
And then I
ooh.
think we'll get 2 episodes of him as U.S. agent. And I feel like by the end of the 6th episode, he'll be dead.
All right, bet I like that. Okay, we can go with that.
So you're okay with that theory this
I'm
time?
okay with that. Just go ahead and take the shield away from him. Give it to Sam, like it should be.
I don't know if they'll give it to Sam, but I think Sam's going to take it regardless. Like I said, I don't know for sure if it'll be just straight given to Sam or if they're going to have to go take it. But
if it's not giving it to Sam, I think either Bucky or Zemo will steal it for Sam.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do believe that shot we got in the trailer of Sam and Bucky practicing with the shield, I think that's going to be in the next episode because I feel like they're going to use it in the final episode somehow, some way. But I think we'll see them with the shield and practicing with it in the next episode.
Yeah. I was really hoping that we would get it before now. But of course, as we've seen, that didn't happen. So
I said I would have wanted it before now, but I don't want this to play out any other way than it has right now.
Oh. Well, there are certain images from episode 4 I would really like to get out of my head, but that's not happened so far. And so Marvel needs to either give me the episode now or rectify that very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Now, at point, like kind of after a lot of this, Sam calls Sharon again, and he's asking her like for some help. She says she's going to try to like get a hold of some satellites to kind of help him track the Flag Smashers and stuff. How do you think she has access to all this?
I think she's the power broker.
Yeah,
yay! No, I mean there's just too many instances, and I don't know how or who even like noticed this. But I have to say it because once I saw it, I was like, that makes so much sense. With apparently with Marvel, you can tell the good guys from the bad guys by the phone that they use. And when we first see Sharon in this series, she's using a Samsung, and that is the phone that in Marvel, if somebody has a Samsung, they're an enemy, or any other thing that's not an iPhone. So, I mean, like, if you go back through, like, you can tell in some of the movies, somebody posted, like, their proof, and I was like, okay, that actually makes kind of sense. So now, in regards to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I see Sharon with a Samsung, but Carly Morgenthau has an iPhone. So I'm like, I'm thinking, I know, I'm like, I don't know much more about this, but I am very, very cool with how this is playing out if that happens to be true. So,
I think it will be because I noticed something else. It's very minor in the episode, but I think it points almost wholeheartedly to Sharon being the power broker. After Carly was shot, before Zemo stomped on all the super soldier serum, and she's with the other Flag Smashers kind of healing, and they get the text from the power broker. The power broker talks about how she's on borrowed time. And Sharon's already said that in this episode, so it's exactly what Sharon would have said.
I didn't catch that. Yeah, no, I really didn't catch that. But, that's a very good point. And there's also some instances where, Sharon I know she was, high up in S.H.I.E.L.D. and the CIA, but it's been very convenient that she's been able to get a lot of information very quickly.
And I mean, there's all those posts where the power broker's always watching, but yet she's going to always know where everybody is. It seems like everything adds up. And I love the fact, if it is Sharon, that they've never said like he or she. It's always just the power broker. So
right.
I think they want you to assume it's a guy, but I think the twist is going to be that it's going to be Sharon. I think all signs are pointing to that. I think it's kind of like everybody kind of knew Agnes was Agatha Harkness, but we just had to wait for the reveal.
Right, exactly. It's like it just made too much sense. You had Agnes, and then Agatha Harkness. I mean, we didn't know how it was going to play out. Of course, even then we thought somebody else was behind it. Who knows? Maybe the power broker is Mephisto.
You never know. Mephisto, Nightmare. It's going to be the introduction of X-Men. It'll be like Wolverine. It could be Doctor Doom. Well,
I mean, we've already got a good place where they could have introduce like Wolverine if they wanted to, while they were in Madripoor, because he was a pretty big patron of the Brass Monkey, and that's where they were, and when all of that stuff went down, but yeah.
But I don't think we're going to see any ties to X-Men or anything in this other than just like the Madripoor references. I don't think this is... I'll be honest, I don't think they're going to introduce the X-Men in any type of Disney Plus show. I think they're going to save that for some reveal on the big screen somewhere.
Movies, yeah. Because, I mean, we've got coming up, and of course, if it's been rumored that the next Spider-Man is supposed to be bringing in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield as additional Spider-Man. Maybe a multiverse kind of thing there. But then we even have a Doctor Strange movie coming up called The Multiverse of Madness. So, we may see that in a movie. We may get a brief introduction here before we get the full thing later on. We just don't know.
Right. Can we just go back to that Spider-Man thing for like 1 second? If there's a scene in that movie where like Tom Holland is getting his ass kicked and he just like looks up at the buildings and you have that Tobey Maguire like Spider-Man theme start hitting, I'm going to have a heart attack and die in that movie theater at that point, okay?
Oh, please don't die.
Now, do you think we'll get any references to any of the people or time? Because, like, have they said yet when exactly Black Widow takes place?
It's in between the events of the Infinity War
and Endgame,
because it actually, like a lot of people say, you can tell it's within those 5 years because of the way that Scarlett's hair is in the movie. It's got the red with the blonde at the end that she had in Endgame.
Now, see, I'm curious now. Let's say Sharon is the power broker, okay? What if we start getting flashbacks in some of the Black Widow stuff of maybe Madripoor or something, and you start seeing, or at least hearing about the power broker coming into power kind of during that time, and they kind of like blend the two together. We might get like a little Sharon Carter reference in Black Widow even.
I mean, that would be great because, like I said earlier, we have no idea what happened in between the 5 years. I mean, we kind of get a brief introduction. Half of the universe is, missing, and things. It's not life as what they had known it, but ultimately, we don't know a lot more than just the aftermath. Hey, these people are missing. We're trying to keep law and order on this planet, other planets. What else happened? I would love to know more about that.
Yeah, see, this is where it gets a little weird because Black Widow was supposed to come out before this show. Yep. If that theory ends up being right and there's like references to the power broker, it could have been them setting up this show last year when that actually came out.
And that's very true.
Now, I will admit it would have been awesome if Stan Lee was still with us and like he could have been the power broker. Like the power broker has nothing real. He just kind of showed up just randomly as like a throwaway villain for like 2 minutes.
Oh man.
That would have been the coolest thing ever, I will admit.
It would. And I miss Stan. And like so far we've not seen, I mean, we've seen a few callbacks in the shows regarding, Stan and the legacy that he helped build. But it's just not the same without the cameo anymore.
I like even in the shows, I still like look for it. I'm like, are they gonna throw a picture of him in the background? Like just like anything. Great. Like I'm always looking over my shoulder for it.
Although I'm up for the whole thing. Somebody's got a petition out for Deadpool to be the new Stan Lee cameo, which I would adore.
Like now, I want to see nothing more than just like Deadpool walk on screen and just like do that thing to Bucky's arm and walk away. Like not even say anything, just walk on screen, bloop, and it falls off, and he just walks off the screen.
That would be magical.
We
I
need to
need
pitch
that.
that idea. Like, I don't
Yeah.
even. That could even be an after credit scene. Like, let's say they did like after the next Avengers movie, like Bucky's sitting with the Avengers and they're eating shawarma, and Deadpool just walks in and goes bloop, and it just falls off. That would be the best post credit
That
scene.
would be amazing. And especially where, Deadpool, of course, can break the fourth wall.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing to see. And like as he's like walking through, he's talking about things that completely make no sense at all to the actual plot line, but is going through and is just like talking about like the outside world, like during filming or something, and then
Mm-hmm.
just like drop the arm and just continue on, kind of like the whole Ferris Bueller break, and then
Right.
just go on with the rest.
Oh my lord, that I have to see that. Like, somebody needs to at least make the YouTube video of it at this point in cosplay, because it'd totally be worth it. Um, Now I did kind of skip over a scene that we probably should have touched on. When Carly and the other Flag Smasher kind of go to that grave site to get the super soldier serum, and they're talking about everything they're done and what they're trying to do, and this guy starts going into, I idolize Captain America, like blah blah blah. I love Captain America, and I'm like, I never thought that that would be so much foreshadowing for what was getting ready to happen in the episode.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think worse words could have been spoken by him at that
No,
moment.
but and then again, that's the classic foreshadowing done in a very, very good way that we don't know what's going to happen. So, it's not until we see that very last scene where we actually understand, oh, I should have seen this before now.
Hmm. So, but now we were talking earlier when Sam goes to meet Carly this last time. He shows up as the Falcon. I mean, you knew as soon as you seen him in the
Oh,
suit
yeah.
that he meant business. So you didn't get Sam, you got the Falcon. And she told him to come alone, but he brings Bucky once again, just enforcing, I mean business this time. Don't
Hmm.
F with my family. Um, but they're sitting there, they're having the conversation with Carly, and then Sharon calls. And it's like she's watching everybody all the time, knowing exactly
Yeah.
what's going on.
Like, what was she tracking at this point? I mean,
That was my next question. That's actually what I was getting ready to go into. Is she able to track the serum? Is she just got a tracker on John? Like, what exactly is she tracking, and how is she doing all that? Unless she is the power broker and can just see everything.
that's what I'm telling you. Although she may be a Carter and the great niece of the wonderful Peggy, rest in peace. No, she is not. No, she's sketchy, and I need to know what's up right now. So,
Now, I also thought there may, because like she's just talking about John when she's talking about something, like she could
hmm
possibly be tracking the shield as well. Like she may have some way to like track vibranium. That's a very good possibility, but I don't know, because then she would also know where Bucky is all the time too.
yeah, I don't like the sound of that either. So,
But like you said, whatever it is, it's shady. We know it's
it's
shady.
yes,
We need
it's
the holes
very
filled in.
yeah.
Um, and I think within the next episode, or maybe the final episode, I'm not sure which one will happen, but I think we'll get a good like 10-15 minute scene explaining what exactly happened to Sharon and Madripoor. Like, if we're right, she's the power broker, like how she came into power. I think we're going to see that whole scene actually play out.
I hope so. I mean, don't give me this. Oh, she was the power broker all along. I want to see how she became the power broker.
Power broker all along. Yep. Okay. So if there is a big reveal that she is the power broker, over or under 50%, where there'll be a jingle with it this time.
Under 50%. That no. I mean, with WandaVision, you had the cute little sitcom type trope, and as something that even Agnes went along with every time you saw her in the episodes. This one, there's not going to be a cool, clever jingle. It's just going to be like, oh well, hears this. I'm like, no.
Okay, so there won't be one in the show, but will some
Somebody's gonna make
YouTube
one.
genius gonna make it
Yeah.
for us?
You've been on TikTok lately. We're already doing that.
But so basically Sharon tells Sam that, you know, John's moving in on the Flag Smashers. So they all kind of take off and start heading there. Bucky's running after Carly. We get, to me, it was a nice throwback of the chase scene between Black Panther and Bucky and Civil War, sorry. Just by like the way they shot, the way they were running,
Right.
and how they looked when they were running. So I thought that was a nice like homage to that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I hadn't thought about it. The first watch for me was one that was very, very just surface level. Like, what is the show? What is this episode about? I have not had the heart to dive deeper into this episode just yet. Hopefully I will by next Friday. But no, I will definitely rewatch it again before then. So to see if there's anything that I missed.
Yeah, there's probably plenty you're gonna miss. Because I'm sure I missed plenty too. I may still watch it a couple more times even before next week. Because I got a feeling we're gonna get a lot of throwbacks to a lot of things that happen. But then we kind of cut to the not Steve, you know, entering the place, and he's got the gun up with the shield, and you already know this shit's gonna get bad because Captain America shouldn't have the gun.
Other than actual wartime, I don't think Steve ever had a gun on like any of his missions. He used the shield as more of an offensive or a defensive weapon than more of an offensive, even at that. So
yeah, I mean, I understand. Yes, he's going after superpowered terrorists, but Steve wouldn't have took a gun. I think it's already that's just another point to John's going over the edge on this. He wants the glory too much. Like, Steve was never about the glory. Steve was about actually helping people. And I think John just wants all the medals, all the accolades, all the attention, basically.
Ultimately, what they needed to do with John Walker was treat him as the dancing monkey to, bring up morale
the propaganda machine.
return. He needed to be that. This John Walker that we're seeing here, he's on a power trip, and he thinks that the title is going to grant him a lot more access than he has with anything else, and it's just not going to do that. And he's frustrated about it, and that frustration is what also fuels him a little bit more, and he's just too aggressive with it.
Now, as they enter this, the scuffle ensues. They're fighting. At this point, Battlestar gets captured. Mm-hmm. And John, he's fighting all the Flag Smashers. You see him put the shield through the wall. Like, you could tell he's getting way too aggressive, and that was kind of your first clue that he's already taken the serum when he puts the shield that deep.
I don't think he took it until after Hoskins got taken.
So you think he took it when he paused in that hallway?
Yes.
Because that's what I thought the first time I watched it. When I watched the episode a second time, he seems a little more powerful coming into that fight.
Right.
And I think that...
Very true. Very true.
So that may be something we get a throwback to see when he actually took it too. Because when Sam sees him like using his strength, and Sam's like, "What did you do?" I feel like that conversation's gonna happen. Like, they're gonna ask him, what the hell he did. So like, they're going to try to rescue Battlestar, and in the middle of the scuffle, Battlestar gets killed.
I kind of wonder, though. I mean, I know that we know that John took the serum, and it's very, very quickly, because when Carly talks about taking the serum, she said that, like, the inside of her felt like it was burning for hours on end. Mm-hmm. John has taken this, and he's gone right into the fight. So I'm thinking that maybe that could have pushed out that aggression just a little bit more. But I also wonder if Hoskins is really dead. Oh. I mean, if John is checking for this pulse, but yet he had just taken the serum, his body is reacting in different ways, Did he really not feel a pulse?
Mm-hmm. Well, that comes to that's the question. Like, did he take it when he paused in that hallway, or did he take it before? Because that could
Exactly.
it could make differences kind of coming both ways of whether or not what he was feeling in that moment of despair. Once, actually, I like your theory that what if Battlestar's not dead? What if he did all this and it was all for nothing because Battlestar was just injured?
Exactly. He literally, well, I mean, either way, he murdered somebody. And yeah, I jumped around there. Sorry. Um,
Oh no,
but,
you're good. You're good.
but I mean, to take that act of aggression out on someone, um, because your buddy was dead. I mean, we didn't see that with the Steve Rogers. No, Steve went drinking after Bucky fell off the train.
Mhm.
This one is just a little bit excessive. So,
Now, I did see somebody bring up, and I thought it was complete bullshit, but I'm going to get your opinion on it too. Somebody said that they could have seen Steve kind of doing the same thing John did if he didn't have Peggy after Bucky died.
I don't know. I don't think so because with this, Steve was not that person. He was not the kind of person to be that vindictive. He was the one that we see in the bar after the
Mm-hmm.
train scene. He's the one he's trying to, he's trying to get drunk to mourn his friend, and he's not able to do that. He's not going to be the person who tries to get revenge because of it. Now, I can see that he would try to get revenge in the way that it actually played out. He's going to stop Schmidt from trying to take over the world. But no, I don't think it would have been anything like what Not Steve did.
Okay, okay. Let's reverse that a little bit. What if Steve would have been put in that situation, but it would have been somebody killing Peggy?
I, I can't really see him do that then either. I
You just
mean, it
don't
was
want to
just
think about
not.
it.
No, no. Stephen Grant Rogers is amazing. He's an angel. He's never done anything wrong in his life, and that's the way we're going to keep it.
um, but as soon as you see the despair on John's face, once he at least thinks Battlestar's dead, we're not either one of us are not completely convinced that he's actually dead yet. Um, but you already know what he's going to do as soon as he jumps out that window.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, that would have been another great place for the damn Deadpool cameo if he'd have just popped in and said superhero landing right when he landed on top of that car.
I actually said that. It's like superhero. But having seen Deadpool so many times, I'm just like, it's routine now. I see anybody kind of land in that position. Take example Monica Rambeau in WandaVision when she
Right.
lands in that superhero pose. It's like superhero landing. I'm like, they ruined me. They have ruined me.
um, but he goes chasing after this flag smasher, and just watching the force and the way he's even just throwing the shield at this guy before he even starts beating him with it, he's going in for the kill shot.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, of course, we start seeing the horror that none of us ever wanted to see of him taking the shield and beating this guy to literal death with it while the whole world's watching because everybody's recording it on their
Oh,
phone.
yeah.
And it was at that point I'm like, oh, that's why they called this what
Yeah.
the name of the episode was.
And it's a direct callback to when Black Panther and Okoye and Nakia were in Hong Kong when they were chasing after Claw. And, ultimately, T'Challa could have gone in for that kill, and it looks like he was going to, but thankfully, one of his companions were like, no, the whole world is watching. Don't do that. And
Yep.
there is also where you get a distinct difference in the superheroes. You see that difference between not just Steve and not Steve, but not Steve and T'Challa. So,
Mm-hmm. Now, I think where everybody was recording that, I think that's going to be the image that's going to get stuck in everybody around the world's brain.
About Captain America. Right, exactly.
I don't think it's just Captain America. I think they're going to look at all superheroes in that light again, and it's going to be the equivalent of Sokovia all over again. Because everybody's going to hate them. And honestly, it's going to lead to something like the Sokovia Accords all over again. They're going to have to rewrite some sort of law to keep this kind of thing from happening.
The heroes in check, right. Right. I never thought about those ramifications.
Because I think that, like, if you think of from in-game back, I guess you could think, if you think of just in the Cap perspective, probably the image that sticks most in your head is Steve standing on that battlefield by himself, strapping on the half-beaten shield right before everybody comes on. And I feel like this is the poster for the post-in-game MCU.
Yeah.
Is the shield covered in blood, and you realize, you know, this is like, I don't even know where the Avengers would begin now, because I feel like he's ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has ruined the perception for really anyone. And, you know, everybody had a smartphone and was filming this. And, you know, within minutes, it's going to hit the internet. And then within, you know, very, very short amount of time after that, a lot of things are going to change.
Mm-hmm.
And one, I don't think he really knew the implications that would cause, because he wasn't thinking. He was thinking, you know, you hurt my friend, let me hurt you. But he wasn't paying attention or really even like thinking ahead, be like, what is this going to do to this image afterwards? I'm supposed to be this wholesome stand-up individual, and I've literally bludgeoned someone to death with a shield.
But see, then that also begs the question, one of the people in the crowd looking on is Carly.
Right.
So what ramifications is that going to have to amp up her cause even more? And I mean, I think she's just flat going to go after John and anybody that's on John's side. I feel like she's going to have just death eyes.
Absolutely.
For him.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I have it. I'm just like, no, he's got to go. No.
Because now you get into the thing, do you think that Sam and Bucky are going to deal with John? Or do you think it's going to be more Carly? Do you think Sam and Bucky may join Carly to help take down John?
I think in the end, just to take down John Walker, it's going to be the Flag Smashers, Bucky, Sam, possibly Zemo.
I think Zemo will show up at the end to kill him. I really do.
But, you know, ultimately, I don't know. It's one of those things where I have to see where this goes. And I'm just like, I'm throwing my hands up. I'm not speculating anymore. I'm like, if this happens, that's great. I was right. If this doesn't happen, am I going to be mad? Not exactly. They've already broken my heart by by really desecrating the shield that they did in that last scene.
So now as we get into the fun part, I know you said you weren't going to speculate, but we're still going to speculate.
Dang it.
I know I was saying a little bit earlier, I think because of what happened, that the U.S. government's going to strip him of the Captain America title. I think that it's very possible we get a General Ross cameo the next episode doing a press conference talking about the events that just happened, because he is Secretary of Defense at this moment, I believe is what he is.
Yeah, he's Defense Secretary. At least he was an in-game. I mean, it's very possible. If not Secretary Ross, maybe Everett Ross, Agent Ross. But then that's probably just my want to see Martin Freeman in another Marvel project.
Right.
So, it could be either of them. I think, though, it would be more of whoever the spokesperson for, I guess, the Avengers would be, because, I mean, since not Steve is Captain America, that would make him an Avenger. So I guess, or maybe whoever is the spokesperson there, and doing a press conference saying, okay, this person is, we do not condone these actions. This is not what this person is supposed to be, not what this title is supposed to uphold. So you never know.
So with Steve gone and Tony gone, who would be the de facto leader, spokesperson of the Avengers at the moment?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's, ooh. I mean, okay, if we're really thinking about it, half the Avengers are gone. Half of the core Avengers that we see is gone.
Right.
So we had, Tasha's dad. Steve is possibly dead. We don't know. Tony's
I'm
dead.
still holding out. He's on the moon. I think that's going to come back.
If he's not, I will be very disappointed. We may see, at the very end of Endgame, no, Spider-Man, Far From Home. Fury was ending his little vacation in space with the Skrulls. So, maybe Fury comes back.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see that because we've not had Nick Fury in a little bit in like a true like leadership capacity. He's just been kind of there for advice and stuff. But I would like to see Fury come back maybe.
I don't think we'll see Fury again till Captain Marvel 2. I think that's when he'll show back up. Because I guess there's the possibility that, like, Doctor Strange would be kind of the spokesperson now. But I'm like, would anybody really know who Doctor Strange is much at this point?
Or we have Professor Hulk.
We do have Professor Hulk.
I was going to say Bruce, but I'm like, no, he's the green guy now, too, so.
I'm kind of hoping they retcon that or go away from that at some point, because I'd really like just to see Dr. Banner a little bit more.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't think it would be Spider-Man, even though he's kind of been ousted at the end of Far From Home.
He's too young and too vulnerable. I don't think that would be it.
And I don't think Hawkeye wouldn't be a good choice. I don't really think.
I mean, for all we know, it could be Sam.
It could be, but the fact Sam was there is not going to look good on Sam, because he's going to be in the background. True. Like, somebody's going to notice him and Bucky there, and it's going to put them probably in a bad light too.
Maybe the Avengers did break up like the Beatles. Maybe Banner had that right in Infinity War.
I mean, maybe we get lucky. We get an Ant-Man press conference.
I can just imagine what all Scott Lang would say, and I don't know if Scott Lang is really what we need to kind of pull that off.
You know what we actually need is we need a press conference from what's his buddy's name, Louise?
Recapping everything. Yes.
Like, I want to see him as that character do a recap to every one of these episodes for both these shows. Like, could you have imagined the recap that man would have gave on WandaVision?
I want it so bad. And like somebody even said, give Luis his own TV show and just let it be a recap from like him telling a story to some random person and have it be a recap of the entire MCU. That would be magical.
Yeah, that needs to happen. But really, I don't know if there would be anybody to come out for the Avengers right now. Like, it may just make them public enemy number one, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of a viable option at this point. Because if Natasha was still alive, I'd be like, that's possible.
Right.
Because, she was.
Yeah, she was kind of like director there in the beginning of Endgame.
Mm-hmm. And nobody's going to listen to Wanda.
Yeah, taking hostage 3,000 people kind of would, make you public enemy number one too. So.
And then you got, White Vision rolling around, but nobody really probably knows about that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's anybody. I don't think we're going to get anybody speaking on the Avengers' behalf. I think we've lost.
Yeah, I think that goes along. We ruled out everybody, so that's not gonna work out, Rob.
Yeah, nope. Damn. Okay. So with 2 episodes left, we'll kind of go in. I'll give you a few of my kind of theories. A couple of them I've already touched on a little bit. I think Zemo's going to kill John Walker by the end of this series. I really do. Like I said, I think we'll have the fight between Sam, Bucky, Carly, and John. And I think Sam, Bucky, and Carly are going to be getting their butts handed to them. And I think all of a sudden we're just going to see that purple mask coming through and he's going to take out John. That's how I think it's going to go. I could be completely wrong.
I could dig it.
We seem to both kind of agree that Sharon will end up being the power broker. Now, I wrote down on my notes here, and I just had another thought thinking about it. I think we're going to get a reveal she's the power broker, but I don't think we're going to get any conclusion to that story.
Right.
I think it's going to be a loose thread they're going to use in something else. But I was like, if she's in power in Madripoor, what if that is like the beginning of the X-Men and we just don't know it, and they bring in Wolverine and she ends up being like a big kind of baddie to deal with there for him.
I can also dig that. So
I'll be good with as much Sharon Carter as they want to give me at this point.
Exactly.
So
exactly. I'm just happy, if as long as Marvel keeps making TV shows and movies, I will be right there. And I'm, that's kind of my shtick. I've not been really a big DC fan ever. So with this whole Marvel thing, it's like compelling, and there's so many threads that you can pull that lead to these different universes, these different, these character arcs, and just I love seeing all of that play out, however it may be.
Yep. And we both kind of think this will happen. We both think Sam will end up with the Cat Mantle before the end of the show. I'd said before that I thought he was going to give Torres the wings and Torres was going to become Falcon, but Torres has kind of just been non-existent since the first couple of episodes, really. I mean, he's been mentioned a time or two, but he's not as big a player as I thought he was going to be. So I think we'll see Sam as Captain America, but I think he'll still have the wings. I think it'll kind of be like when they did Iron Patriot and it kind of just gets a new paint job.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well be. And I know, like, even a callback to the comics, Sam as Captain America, he's got the traditional red, white, and blue, but he also has the wings.
Mm-hmm.
But also in the comics, we do have another Falcon, and it is Joaquin Torres. So if he doesn't get them by the end of this show, I think he will end up becoming the Falcon somewhere else down the line if we see him again.
Right. And we both kind of agreed before that we'll think Bucky will start going by the White Wolf by the end of this somehow, some way. And that may be part of how the Dormelaju kind of figure into everything, too. They may be the ones that kind of plant that seed for everybody. Because I know they've already mentioned it when he was in Wakanda, but it's not really been, to everybody else to kind of know him by it.
Right, and he's been called the White Wolf like 2 or 3 times in this series.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I think that'll be kind of his new name going forward, kind of like the reveal we got with Scarlet Witch at the end of WandaVision. There, I think that'll kind of just be his new code name.
Right.
I wrote down on my list too that I think Sam and Bucky will join sides with Carly to kind of take out John at this point, because I think after this episode, I think John became the villain. I don't think there's anybody else.
The whole world will stand behind whoever it is just to take John out.
Yeah. But I also think there's going to be a group of people that are going to look down on Sam and Bucky too for kind of joining up with the Flag Smashers, and it may be the equivalent of like Civil War and the Sokovia Accords all over again, thinking they're fighting on the wrong side. So I'm not saying we're going to rehash that storyline, but I think we'll rehash themes from that, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
Now this one's a fun one because we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but do you think we'll get any other, in the last 2 episodes, like Avenger cameos from any of the other Avengers at this point?
I have seen tell that there is some kind of big cameo coming up. Now, I don't know if it's like a fellow Avenger or somebody else that we've seen throughout the MCU. But having seen there's supposed to be a big cameo, I'm expecting something now. But it could also be kind of like how they teased a big cameo for WandaVision, and it just turns up that it was Vision fighting Vision. So
Yeah.
who knows at this point? Maybe we'll get to see Old Man Cap come down and raise holy hell on John Walker. I would be okay with that.
See, I wondered that too, because that would play back into the whole Steve's on the moon thing. If him and Fury are up there just watching what's going on. Or what if that's Sharon's way of keeping up with everybody? Was she still in touch with Steve, and Steve is on a moon base, and that's the satellite she's like contacting to get her information? Like, her and Steve did keep in touch, and maybe she was on a mission for Steve as the reason she's doing what she's doing in Madripoor.
I think you broke my brain. I don't know. Ultimately, by this point, there's been a lot of nods to it. Like, speaking of Steve in the past tense, I really think that it's possible that old man Steve has passed away and that he's not there anymore. So I mean, ultimately, I have no idea. Who knows?
I did write down in my notes that I could possibly see like a Bruce Banner cameo, like bringing him in to try to help figure out a way to undo the serum, maybe, or something along that line. It could happen, it could not, but I'm like, if they were going to do that, wouldn't they just call Shuri at that point? Because she's supposed to be like the smartest person in the.
Oh yeah, and like there was even that little bit between them in Infinity War when she was talking about, well, why didn't you try to do this? And he was like, we didn't think of it. She's like, because that's why I'm smarter. So yeah, I would be all there to have Shuri come in and trying to take away can you? I mean, I guess it's possible. Anything's possible to take away superpower. So
yep. Now this is going to be a little bit of a controversial theory, but I don't think the Dormilaje will actually catch Zemo in this series. I think that'll be a thread left open that they may revisit in Black Panther 2.
I would like that. I mean, it's not that controversial with me because I would like to see that. And I'm not too well versed in this side of Marvel Comics, but apparently Zemo does have this little group that he has. It's kind of like it's the Marvel equivalent of the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be okay if he kind of had that. That would be good because right now he is a great anti-hero. Working for the good guys, but yet not really being a good guy. So I could see him forming his own little band of people there to kind of continue that out.
Yeah. Because the thing is I don't want them to capture him because I want as much Zemo as they'll give me at this point. Like, I jammed out to like 25 minutes of that like extended cut of him dancing.
Yes. That entire thing was improvised. Like, Daniel Bruhl came back and said, he was like, well, we were at this giant party, so why not just have Zemo, dance around? And I'm like, that was like the perfect thing. And to have that improvised, I said, yeah, it made him human a little bit more. And I'm like, yeah, we have to keep you around now.
I'll say I think that the Zemo dancing thing may have been the equivalent of our Agatha All Along like thing for this series.
That, yeah.
And I don't think they planned it that way. I think it just happened. But there's just something about like,
yeah, just the dancing along. Yeah, I mean it was very entertaining, and kind of like Agatha All Along, the fandom has completely blown that up. The little 45 seconds of the Agatha All Along little jingle that was written it became like a #1 bestseller on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because the fandom found something that we liked, and we're going to like continue that up and just make the fans happy. That's all we want. We want these little snippets of the fun stuff.
Now, I know at this point we have not got a post-credit scene yet, but we hadn't at this point in WandaVision either. I don't think we got one till the episode before the finale.
We had one starting in the 2000s, so it was kind of like the episode with the Malcolm in the Middle. I think that was maybe episode. I think it was maybe 7. But I have a theory on that because when the Marvel Cinematic Universe started, it was the mid 2000s. It was 2008 when Iron Man came out. That's when we first started that. Anything prior to that, you wouldn't have seen those post credits. So that's why we don't see them in WandaVision until you get to the episode of the 2000s.
Right.
So that's why I think that they kind of played that there. Why we're not getting them here, who knows?
But I do think we'll get one next week leading into the finale. I think we're going to get something big as a post-credit scene or a big credit scene, however you want to put it. I think we will get something next week. I mean, I've set through every bit of credits just to make sure on every episode. Like,
Marvel's
they've trained me to the point I can't not do it now.
And then when that little Georgia Peach comes up, I'm like, it's over. There's nothing.
Yep. Okay, so then I have one last question because we're going to bring up something from episodes back. Do you think we'll see a return of Isaiah before the end of this series?
Yes. You know, when we see him to begin with, we are just now finding out there were other super soldiers that were like the Captain America other than Steve Rogers. It was so short, we don't know anything about this character unless you go back to like his comics upbringing. And then, of course, now we know that they're not going to pattern everything in the movies and TV shows after comics. So we definitely need some more information there regarding, you know, who he is, how him being a super soldier, he's not like one of those, the vindictive ones that we see. You know, what makes him different than everybody else. And I think that is really going to be the person that Sam talks to about being Captain America.
Now, what if they actually take the shield to Isaiah and we get to see Isaiah and John duke it out, both as Captain America?
I would like that very much. I would like to see, I mean, I would really like to see that.
Like, what if Isaiah defeats John, and then Isaiah's like, okay, I've done my duty, and then he gives the shield to Sam just like Steve did, and that's when Sam takes it up.
I mean, yeah. My brain is trying to work. It's not really working. Yeah, I would really like to see that. I would. I ultimately, like I said, at this point, I can think one thing and Marvel's going to do the exact opposite. So I'm not trying to lead up with, well, here's what I think is going to happen, because then all of my hopes and dreams that I've banked on for a week is going to be dashed. So.
Okay. I also have one other theory or possibility with that too. What if we don't see Isaiah anymore in this series, but he reappears in his prime during the Loki series with all the time travel?
All right, I can dig that. I can dig that. Now, and I'm trying to think. There's another Bradley who ends up being like young Captain America in the Young Avengers, and I think it is Isaiah's grandson, maybe? I can't remember.
I think it's the one that actually answered the door.
I think so. I think it was Eli, and that, I mean, even if they don't do anything with Eli Bradley in the MCU, that was a really nice nod to the comics and that comic series.
I think they made too big a deal bringing it up that I think, well, have to revisit it at
Yeah.
some point. I just don't know if we'll be in this episode or if we'll see it in the time travel stuff in Loki, because I could totally see that. Like, maybe Loki changes the timeline and Isaiah's actually Steve. You know, like...
I don't know. I'm just I'm stupid excited for Loki, and I have been since the elevator scene with the Marriott in Atlanta, and I'm like, I know that place.
Yeah, I'm
So
like,
that kind of
they're at my home. Like,
right.
but yeah, but okay, guys, that was our spoiler discussion of almost an hour and a half long of episode 4 of the Disney Plus series, The Falcon and Winter Soldier. If you guys like the content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment below, tell us your thoughts. We'll see if any of our crazy theories are right. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.